That's it. Yeah, great.
So, welcome to the Selfish Griever podcast. Today's guest is Fiona. I met her in a Facebook support group for grieving parents, and her post and her story spoke to me so much that I asked her if she'd be willing to come on the podcast and share. And I'm really excited to get to talk to you, Fiona, today because to me, whenever I speak to you, you are like this beacon of hope.
Oh, good.
And I could just really use some extra hope.
Oh,
And
who does? I know who doesn't need a little extra hope. Well, you know what? I think, and I can start and I can make an introduction for myself. But just before I do, I really am so grateful and blessed for my connections that I have to spirit. And I do think I do shine a light in dark places, but that's because I've been gifted so much of the light. So I think it's, and we'll get onto that in a minute. But I'm glad that if it's a day that you need a little bit of extra light, that we're talking, and who doesn't need a little bit of extra light now and again, and especially grieving parents, of course they do. But I will introduce myself. I
yeah,
thank you for the lovely introduction as well. That's really, really lovely. So my name is Fiona. I'm from Cork in Ireland, but I am from Ireland, and I have three children. Una, who is 11, going on 13. She's a 13. Elizabeth, who is in spirit, and she would be turning 4 in November. And then I have Liam, my son, who has just literally turned 2. So I have a preteen and a toddler. And I always joke that Elizabeth is my best behaved child and my best child. She's the one that gives me no hassle, and she never keeps me up late at night. She always helps me get to sleep, so we always have a chat every night. So I always say she's my best child. Even today my daughter asked me who was her best child, me or her brother, and I was like, Elizabeth. So and honestly, so where do I begin? So Elizabeth was stillborn on the 28th of November 2019, and obviously, a very what loved and wanted child, and it was absolutely devastating to get the words that there's no heartbeat. And I just remember my first phenomenal experience of spirit and the light with her was actually in delivery, and after she was born. It was like angels came down, and just the love and the light that was in the room. And I thought it was me on the gas and air, but it was like her dad, my sister, who was also in the delivery suite, and the midwives were like, whoa, what's going on here? Now, I had had some experiences before, so I wasn't as blown away, but I have to say I was so grateful. It was turned one of the most horrendous physical earth experience into something like John. Her dad still goes on about it,
wow.
it's like it really was incredible. And I always am very grateful that in that really horrendous moment, that moments or time, that spirit was able to come down and really guide me. I now know that I probably set it up that way myself before it came down, going, okay, I'm going to do this, but like, you've got to do this, put the like things in motion. And thankfully, a part of me was able to reconnect and remember, because it really was amazing. And then it was also equally horrendous when the vibration changed back to the pure earth reality of what was happening. And it was, but it did spark, and often it is these things that do spark a spiritual, what I consider a spiritual awakening. It sounds very woo woo and very like, off the ball, but it really is like an amazing thing. But it's so normal to me now that it's not woo woo in any way. And I should say that I'm also very I think it's left brained when you're business like and financially oriented. I'm a director in a very big investment bank and stuff, so I'm very logical and very strategic by nature. And so I made the decision then I was like, okay, Elizabeth definitely still exists, and I've had a few experiences in my life, and I was like, okay, if she does still exist, which she does, I knew that. I was starting from a base of total trust that she did. Well, I'm not going to wait till I pass. I'm going to find her, and bring her on my journey here and continue a relationship with her. I'm not very patient as a person. I was like, okay, well, if she's here right now, we're going to be doing something together. So I set the intention. The intention was like, you know, I want, like, you have to help me. I was very, very angry. I thought at the time, I felt, oh my God, you were supposed to be coming and now, you're not here, and you bailed or you chickened out or you turned off me the idea, and I felt like very angry for a period of time. But I also, my anger at her, and some people would be like, whoa, you're angry at a baby. And I don't really see her as a baby. I see her spirit as something much, much bigger than a physical earth presence, like a baby. And then I was like, well, you are so angry. You wouldn't just be like angry at a tree because the tree's a tree. You know that, like, she exists. And that all of these things, really helped me build my connection, of like trust. And I think a lot of the connection and what I have is the foundation is an absolute solid foundation of trust. There is no book, there is no podcast, there is no experience. I came in at that level. I always knew there was something else. I'm not a religious person. I was a spiritual person, meaning I believed in something bigger than the earth experience from the get-go. And I had a lot of experiences, and a lot of, I suppose in some ways I was talking to angels and my higher self my whole life. I mean, at different stages of my life, different corners. So, like, when Elizabeth passed, I was starting at a very, very high base. And that's it, like, definitely that foundation helped me build on. But I went on a really big, I had 9 months off work. And I was like, okay, I'm going to throw myself into researching about the afterlife and souls and soul plans, and I'm going to read the research and I'm going to treat it as this healing project for myself. And I really, really did. I mean, if I am very strong and knowledgeable and spiritually connected, it's because I put in a lot of work. Now, I had a good base, but I put in a lot of work. The experiences that I had, definitely helped. And I think personal experience, like, I can talk here and it will resonate with some people, and some people will think it's off the wall. But if you have a personal experience, there is just no denying it. And then once you take away that doubt and expectation are real blockers that I've understood with spirit. So I try to avoid any, like, I could say to you now, oh, Elizabeth, show yourself in an orb so that I can show what you do. But it wouldn't work like that, because that would be an expectation and the energy of that expectation. But later on, if I was in a loving field and I was like, okay, do something, or like I could video it, and then I'd get it. So it's like, the vibration has to be right. And when I say vibration, and there'll be people like that are thinking, what the hell is she on about? But we all have an energy. Everyone has an energy. And you only have to think about, have you ever been standing and felt like someone looking at you, and they have been looking at you? That's the energy of the person in your field. So people that can connect easy are able to, like, vibrate their energy at a very, like, high level. And then spirits that are able to communicate quite well, and it is a gift on the other side as well. Everyone hasn't got the same level of, like, way of reducing their vibration. Elizabeth just seems to be very good at it, and so is my grandmother in spirit. And I'm probably very good at, like, raising my vibration. Um, and it's like, it's like it does come more naturally. And then if you don't have any doubt, if you're very trusting, then it's very easy, because that's kind of the biggest blocker. And the expectation, and hope and feeling hope is lovely. But if there's, if you've doubts and if you've got expectations with it, it kind of dampens things. So
You know, and I was thinking as you were talking about when you said that you recognize now that this is something that you orchestrated and planned before you even came here. And I feel similarly about my experience in Orion dying. And my question is, you talked about being angry at Elizabeth, and I'm curious if once you got to this point of recognizing your own part in planning all of this, if you were ever angry at yourself, because I find myself in
Oh,
that position of
oh
like, what did
my
I sign
God.
myself up for?
Yeah, okay. As soon as I kind of really clicked, and when it really clicked about soul planning, and as soon as I was told there was no heartbeat, I actually, the first thing I said to the consultant, and like I was like full term as well, and I was like, I knew it. The whole pregnancy, I just knew it, and I really did have a higher knowing, and I did, and obviously that was between in loads of tears, but I just was like, oh, I knew it. No, I actually, when I realized that we had planned it, I was like, wow, you must really love me so much if you are going to put yourself through the torture of having to deal with me. I wouldn't want to take me on on a nerd journey. I'm a very strong personality as well. And I actually was like, God, you must really, really love me to actually be like, okay, I'll do that, or I'll sign up for the lessons with you. And that's actually transferred over into my ex-husband, into anyone who's ever wronged me. I'm kind of like, oh man, thank you for the gifts, like, the saying, life once dealt me a real bad box of chocolates, and it took me a few years to realize that too was a gift. That's definitely the wrong saying, but you know what I'm talking about. Um, and I wasn't angry with myself. I was like, wow. I was like, because I felt my own growth and my own wisdom, and I actually do. And I actually do feel my own light as well. I do know that I'm slightly different. I kind of like go, I'm actually impressed with myself rather than angry. I'm kind of like going, girl, you're on a hard journey. I'm really proud of you. I'm like high fiving myself all the time. I'm not angry at myself, but there are many times that I'm like, okay, I'm done now. Okay, have I not grown enough? Oh, there's
Mm-hmm.
more, and there's always more. By the way, it's like I'm like even like, there it is, and now though I'm kind of like going, okay, there's more. Okay, and then you have weeks or months of grace, and there's not more, and you just embed what you've actually learned, and then there's more. So I've gotten tired with the whole thing and being like, are you serious with myself? Oh, of course you've planned this, or of course this is coming up 1, 2, 3. I don't know why, but I've learned not to get angry with myself, or I there's times where I've kind of gone. I love the song "My Way" by Frank Sinatra. I listen to it all the time, and there's a sign. I'm not, or there's a lines. I'm not going to sing it, but there's times I bet you knew I bit off more than I could chew, and through it all, when there was doubt, I ate it up, I spat it out, and that's definitely me. There's times where I'm like, oh God, what have you done? You've bit off more than you can chew now, girl. And but I'm always very comforted to know that nothing that we experience, that it is just an experience, and nothing, and all the time I'm very aware now, that I'm perfectly safe, I'm perfectly loved. It is an experience. It's highs and lows. You try and keep the balance, but we're all addicted to the highs and feeling good, and then we don't want to do the lows to balance it out. And I'm definitely learning, and I'm not all knowing or not all knowledgeable and stuff. And even though I can connect like to spirit, the people that I connect with aren't all knowing and all knowledgeable, either. Um, but there's like, that's all part of it. It is just the experience. And yeah, God, I've got an Irish temper on me, and I get angry, and I have a lot of light and a lot of love to give, but I'm also equally, oh, don't go near her, she's angry, or she's hangry. Don't, and why would I not? Because if I was trying to be all spirit like and perfect, I wouldn't be down here having my earth journey. So I definitely put it all in, but I do it my way. And it's fine if you are finding yourself getting angry with yourself, or going, what did you do? Or God, I hate you so much right now. Just think of, your children are going to say that to you if you're blessed with our children that can talk back to you. And, they do. And yeah, of course, there's going to be moments where I hate myself, but mostly I love myself and other people. But like, that's the whole being human, isn't it? Doesn't mean that we're not spiritual or on the right track. It just means that right now we wish we were on an easier path, and but there'll come a time where you look back and you'll go, wow, I got through that. And even now I kind of go back, and if I look at photographs, I'm going, how did I do that? Who is she? That's really impressive. You did that? Oh my God. And I'm definitely more knowing now, and I could never have got to this level without what I've been through in my life. And I've had a really good life. I came in down to her with a lot of love, with a lot of great things. I definitely padded it out nicely, but I have not had an easy ride at all. Like, if you wrote down the stuff that I've been through in my life, not just Elizabeth, you'd be like, whoa, you got a lot of stuff. But now I don't think I would change anything. And people might say, oh my God, your daughter is like that. How could you say that? But she is so active in my life. She's like with me day to day. Oh my God, it's just ridiculous. She's so in my face that even the times now where I'm going about like stuff, she'll be like, put this like sign in. And I was addicted to the signs the first year. Oh my God. And I was like, I played sign games. I was brilliant at it. But now I'm so beyond it. But every so often she'll give me one. I'd be like, oh, it's like your husband coming home with flowers or something. I don't have a husband at the moment. I've got a partner. And I don't get flowers that much, but I think that's what it will be like. I'm divorced. John is Elizabeth's dad, and I am with him though. But I'm not married. Yeah, and I've got loads left to learn, and I know that, like, I think I'm going to live a very long earth life. And I do. At the start I was like, oh, I'm not coming back, and you hear a lot of people like that. And now I'm like going, oh, I might come back. Oh yeah, I can do this thing now. I've got this sus. Yeah, I might come back like maybe a size 10, which is a size 8 in US. I'm not. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But I'm not as obsessed. And now the people that have done me wrong, I'm kind of like, yeah, come meet me when I pass. You're going to be so annoyed. I figured it all out while I was here. I can't wait to go, I knew. And that's why I'm so open as well about my connections without having the threat of feeling embarrassed. Because when I get across to the other side, and we all are getting there, I'm not here to convince anyone of their beliefs, or I'm not here to prove out anything. If you are an atheist and you are happy, I'm like, go for it. If you don't believe there's anything, happy days. Sometimes I wish there wasn't. Sometimes I'm like, we really have to go on and do more. Do we get to rest? I'm like, it's boring. Do we really? But each to their own. I just happen to know, and it's not in a cocky way. I just have knowings, and I know. And I even read some of the like spiritual people, and I read stuff and I kind of go, oh, they got that wrong. They've misinterpreted it. And I'm like, how do you know this? And like, I check in and I'm like going, and then sometimes I kind of go like, oh my God, where is this knowing coming from? I'm like going, is it as like, but I think it's my higher self. I really like don't know how I know certain things. And it's not just like wise things. It's also stuff that's going to happen. And like, I'm not saying I'm psychic, but I used to have that all my life, and then I used to think that I was causing things because I knew I was thinking them. So I thought, geez, I'm really good at this, like, but I'm mostly just thinking bad stuff and it's happening. I was like, maybe I could think the good stuff. And I do believe in visualization, but now I actually know is if you actually tell the universe and there's no mixed signals, that's what I want. That is what I get. And like, let me say, I've managed to achieve quite a few things, and anytime I do it, I don't take advantage. I didn't get Taylor Swift tickets. I did just to Elizabeth. I said, hey, you'd like to go to Taylor Swift, wouldn't you? Come on, get me tickets. And then I was like, but I'm not using up any of my brownie points on Taylor Swift tickets. I didn't get Taylor Swift tickets. And she jests with me. She goes, oh, this concert hasn't happened yet. You might still get tickets. So you never know. She's either teasing me or I'm going to Taylor Swift. I'll let you know. That's the type of relationship that we have. And it's very nice. And look, I wish that I could bottle it, sell it, write a book, do a podcast that could bring the same connection, but everyone has a different life journey. I hope if you take anything from it, who's listening, that you can take, wow, she really believes it. Even if I don't have that connection, even knowing that this actually could be true, I just hope that it can help raise your spirits or your vibration, or give you maybe even some kind of like, test the grounds, or maybe kind of like do some research. And but anyone can connect. I'm a soul, you're a soul, we happen to be on a human experience. Those in spirit are souls. They're not like suddenly elevated kind of like mythical beings. They're exactly who they are, or who they would have been, or and who they have been previously. And they're not all knowing. They're not like the most amazing thing. We all are connected anyway. But like, I think some people think, you pass over and suddenly you become like, a Padre Pio. It's like, no, to get to that level of awakened and consciousness, you have to do a hell of a lot more evolving and stuff. So like, as I say, like, Elizabeth impresses me, and like, I love doing. And part of the reason I keep this up is that, like, I do think she must be like quite an advanced soul. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to do the work here so that I can maybe meet you on a cool level. But we all get to our place. It's all consciousness. It's just how broad you are, or how much you are aware. And really, at the end of the day, it's all just about love, really, and love for everyone and everything, and the experience, And look, we're on Earth. It's a hard place. It's a school. It's going to have its many ups and downs, and there are horrendous things that happen in the world. But the thing is that when you get to a certain level of knowing, you understand that they too have their place, and every soul has its place, no matter what kind of judgment or what kind of thing that we can put on it, is every soul has the experience, like their place in eternity. And even the stuff that we would consider evil and horrid, as humans, is actually could be quite advanced and elevated over the other side, because your deeds and who you are and your contribution to the world is measured by so much more than what we're doing here. The ripple effect of you smiling at the taxi man today could go on. You never know how good or how bad, in Earth terms, in the like your existence is. But the whole thing is that it's all valid, and everyone has a place, and everyone really is loved, and safe and stuff. Even though it in Earth form, it doesn't always feel like that. But I always say to people, I know it's really hard, and I know you can't understand how you might have chose as a soul, but you see, when you are in spirit, you of course are protected and loved, and you will be guided, but like, you're not going to really know. Like, I can tell you, if you haven't had a Mars bar, what it can taste like, but until you actually are in it, you're not actually going to know.
Yeah.
And like, so we can make stuff that is and you have the bigger picture when you're in spirit as well. And your bigger picture is that you want to evolve, you want to progress. Like, as when children are walking, you can see they just want to keep getting up, and they just want to learn to walk and stuff. And sometimes they, it's like they get themselves into bad situations, but like, it's like we're like souls, like we want to, of course, who Earth is going to be really difficult. You want to get the most out of it, so yeah, you're going to be like, yeah, give me that, I can do that. And then you're like, oh, I can't do that. Well, actually, you can, but we did tell you it was going to be hard. And I've seen it. Like, I've looked at this, like, I've examined it in, out. I've gone to the nth degree on everything. And I'm 100% comfortable in my story, in my life, that everything that I've gone through, and we do have free will, but every choice that I've made, every serendipity that's happened to me, every connection I've made, it's all had the place. And I do like, though I don't always love my Earth journey and stuff, I do really like who I am, and I do like who I'm becoming, and I can see the sense of it. And I know, and Elizabeth just told me there, You don't even know the half of a girl. She's always trying to remind me. You only have a little bit. She literally just telepathed it into me. I was like, I know I don't know the half of it. There's a way bigger picture, something way bigger as well. But the part that I do know, I'm comfortable and happy with most of the time.
Do you think that taking the time to do that work and like think back not only over what happened leading up to Elizabeth, but other hard things that you've gone through and recognizing how you've overcome them or how the choices you made led you through those has helped give you a sense of trust in the way that your life is going to unfold moving forward? Not that that means you know everything's going to be like peaches and cream from now on or that you
Oh,
won't
I
have any
know
more
that it's
hard
not.
things, but
That's the point. I know that
yeah.
it's not. Yeah, and I'm constant. It's like I know that it's not all going to be peaches and cream. That it's going to continue to have plenty of opportunities for growth, and you grow the most through adversity. So I do know, but it's given me. I have so much trust, and I by nature I'm a bit of a control freak, and I used to be so full of fear. I mean, it took me 5 times to get my driving test because I kept on freaking out and stuff. Like I look like very confident and like I have it together, but I've done a lot of work. But no, now I totally trust. Absolutely, honestly, I have so much trust, and I've got like a situation going on at the moment, and it's a good thing. It's an opportunity, but I'm also like, I don't know which direction I'm going in, and I'm like in the back of my mind, I'm going, we got this. Where are we going now? Which direction are we going? And I do trust in it, and just because I trust in it, I think it's very important that you also know you have to take action. You can't just sit back and life is going to like all the opportunities are going to fall in your place. I could trust that I'm not single, but if I could trust I'm going to meet a man. But if you're going to sit in and watch television every night and not go out, that's you're not going. It's not going to happen. Prince Charming isn't. So you have to do the work. You have to do the action. But I trust that I will make progress and make opportunity no matter what path I choose. My trust now isn't that I'm going to make the right choice. My trust is that any choice is the right choice because I will learn and have growth in an experience any way that I choose. So I'm not as fixated at the final page of the book. I'm kind of like it could go any way at any point. But now I usually defer because now I'm very much aware that I'm guided. I usually defer to spirit now to kind of go. I'm kind of like, yeah, I don't know what to do. Yeah, this one, yeah, totally over to you. Just give me a big sign, hardcore sign, and I'll follow. And I do. And sometimes I'm like going, okay, this is not what I would choose, but I'm going to go that path. And usually it does actually work out. So, and I'm not also like Elizabeth has just said, don't make out that you don't make any decisions yourself because that wouldn't be right either. I do have to follow my intuition like as well. It's not that I'm just going to be like, okay, yeah, I'm like, it's my life. It's like I do have free will, so I do have to make active decisions and choices. But I kind of check in and kind of go, which is going to be for the higher good, that's like, and I do always feel better. And I think then when you feel more peaceful, your energy is more inclined to vibrate to the choices that is going to be best for everybody. But yeah, it's constant. Yeah, I'm under no illusion. I guarantee right up to my final breath, I'll be like, because I want to make the most out of it anyway. And don't get me wrong, I'm very lazy at times too, and I like just winging life as well. Making myself out to be very strategic. There's plenty of times where I'm like, yeah, we'll see what happens. I'll make that decision further down the line. It's not a race. We've got eternity, right? So we don't have to have it all figured out now, and we're not going to.
Yeah. Yeah, I read a quote recently that said your feelings are like indicators from your soul. And so if you are feeling like just all this resistance and anxiety to a decision, then that's probably, not the decision you should be making, or vice versa. If you feel this calm,
Yeah.
just peace about it, even if it doesn't logically make sense.
Yeah, absolutely. If you feel very peaceful, Even if something it appears to be like, ooh, daunting or scary, it's definitely a sign. Like spirit is very much the joy, peace, chilled. But I will caution, because it's something that I struggled with, is as a human, you can be very fearful. So that fear can kind of cloud in, and you might mistake it as not the right kind of path. So I would say kind of try and get yourself, like remove yourself from the situation, as in try and just detract from it, and then see what comes with the peace, because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes like fear, and it's the opposite of love. It's, hate isn't the opposite of love for me. It's definitely fear. And if anything is fearful, then it's not coming from the vibe. But you can kind of go, okay, take the fear aside and maybe put yourself into the third person and think, oh, what would you suggest for someone? And then you'll get something that actually, I think it's the red dress tonight, not the blue. you know
Mm-hmm.
and then, and once you're on a path, but there's not the right path. Every path is the right path. That's the difference. That's the knowing that I have. It's not like, oh God, and oh, we have to get. It's like, no, you will. Your trust in spirit and your trust in the peace is that you're on a human experience. You're protected and loved the whole time, and you will make every path the right path. Whatever happens to me now, I know I will make the best of it, even if it's something like horrendous. There's plenty physical things that I would just not really not like to happen. And like Alzheimer's in particular, say, will be something that, oh my God, because I don't like feeling disoriented, or I like to feel, but I now trust that I am already loved and protected and will be guided, even if that was to be presented in the future. That was something that my soul decided it needed, to lose knowings in many different capacities, so who knows. But I have a very, I know that you're loved and protected, and it's not just parents of, like, with kids in the light, as I say. It's everybody. It just so
Mm-hmm.
happens to be that the bond between parent and child is very strong. And of course, it's going to be more significantly strong, in the situation when one is in the light and one is in the earth experience. But like, the bond between a parent and a child is so strong, and the bond between a child and its living parent, if that relationship isn't good, can have horrendous effects on your journey. So that bond just seems to like be a real key in the earth experience, whatever way that earth experience is going. So yeah, kind of took a slight detour there in answering your question.
No, it's great. And I was thinking about when you were saying that taking action is important, and taking steps, and that doesn't just apply to physical but also emotional work.
Yeah.
And as we were talking about kind of those feelings that you experience, I think the base of all of that is what we were talking about before with trust. Because if
Yeah.
you do the emotional work to build the trust that you know you're loved, you know that you're protected, then it's not that those feelings, when you have either the peaceful ones or the resistant ones, are telling you things are either guaranteed or everything's about to fall apart. It's just letting you know, like, where you're at right in this moment is where you're supposed to be. And that doesn't mean everything's going to be great, but you just know you're doing what you're supposed to be doing in this
I,
moment.
I can tell you now, everything is not going to be great for anyone. We're not here for
Mm-hmm.
everything to be great. Even the people that you might consider are having an easy life to you, let me tell you, they've internal battles that you don't know anything about. Nothing is great for anyone. We wouldn't be
Mm-hmm.
here if it was, but there are great moments, and there are great things, and there's great love, and there's great reactions, and there's great love. But like, it's going to be tough.
Mm-hmm.
And it's never not going to be tough if one of your children is in spirit, like, and I probably have one of the easiest of those journeys, and I'm grateful for it. But it's not like it's super easy either. It's definitely, I would say, it's 95% love now, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
so it's like, and that's a really high percentage. If you told me like 3 years ago that I would ever be here and saying that, but like it's very hard. Yeah, Elizabeth is telepathing in there. That's because I'm so in your face, and she, but it's very hard then to be like, because I'm kind of like, if I kind of go through the physical thing, then I feel like I'm kind of because she's so in my face that I'm kind of dissing who she is, even though she does encourage me to, like, you know, lean into the sadness and stuff like that. And I'm kind of like, yeah, I do, but you know, it's hard. I know you're there. I can't just kind of turn that off now that it's so turned on. And that's a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to. Yeah, but there's
Mm-hmm.
times where, you know, I'd love to sometimes, you know, and then I feel like I feel kind of different then to, I feel different to those that have all their living children and have no comprehension of how hard this journey is. But then I
Mm-hmm.
feel very like, I feel kind of a responsibility to those that don't have my knowings or my, like, the light. Everyone has the same light, by the way, but I mean that they're not aware of it or their connection. And then I feel kind of, oh God, you know, I really like, it makes me so happy when I have people that say, oh, I did the sign game, or oh, I feel connected, or even if they say to me, I love when you talk about Elizabeth or say stuff, because I'm like, I really believe you.
Mm-hmm.
And my sister once said, and they really believe, well, Elizabeth's very in her face with the signs, you know, that's a whole other podcast, but like they are like, my sister like called it, they were like, I know that this is true because I know you, and if it wasn't, there's no way you would be as happy and as like positive and as upbeat about this, because you wouldn't, and I actually wouldn't. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually absolute proof, you know, if there ever was needed, because if there wasn't, let me tell you, if I didn't have this, I would not be who I am right now. Definitely not, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can help anyone or encourage anyone, you know, to, and you don't have to just, it like, think of it from people like you and me. It's like, read the books, look at the literature, look at the podcast, look at, there's just so much information and knowledge about it, you know. It's like, it's way more mainstream than I ever like you only have to go looking for it when you need to go looking for it. Like your average Joe who isn't deep in grief is not going to like be they might find it interesting and stuff, you know. And I even know, like, sometimes Elizabeth's done something wild and really great, like, because she's a little bit of a show off. Yes, you are. And like that, I know, and I've shown people, and I'm like blown away, and they're kind of like, oh wow, but I'm like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
they don't have the same buzz about it, and I'm like, they don't need the same buzz about it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I know that there's plenty times, you know, like they're probably thinking, oh God, thank God I'm going to tuck my child in tonight. You know, that's great that you have this amazing orb light, you know, thing, you know. But I've gotten to the point now where I'm nearly as comforted and as feel the same amount of love, you know, around it, as, you know, as I do when, like, my daughter gets a really good result in her exam and is delighted with herself, or my son says another new word, you know. I love my connection that I have with Elizabeth. I don't focus on her physical absence, because I just focus on her continued spiritual presence, and it is very much there. Today I was out with all her cousins, and to be honest with you, I was mad busy. I wasn't thinking about her at all.
Mm-hmm.
No, like, I really wasn't, and I think about her all the time. She's always there. And then I was putting the buggy away, like a buggy. I don't carry change, and the coin fell out like a real old coin. There's no way. I can tell you, it wasn't in my son's pocket, and it wasn't ever. There was no way for it to find its way into the buggy. And I was like, "Oh God, hi, hon." I'm like, "Yeah, I know. I was very distracted today. Yeah, I know you were there as well." And you know, it's just like a little sign and stuff. I'm like, "Oh, that's so cute." It's like, "Mom, mom." You know, like they pull at you, like, mom, mom. She does, she's like a bit mom, mom as well, you know. She likes to, and she's mostly included and stuff. I talk about her very naturally, you know, that, like, you can tell, you can see the love, you can, as you should and stuff. And remember, like, Elizabeth didn't breathe a breath here. This
Mm-hmm.
isn't like Orion spent years, like 3 years with you and stuff. You have, like, his personality, you have things. I've built up this connection with Elizabeth and know her personality from
Mm-hmm.
spirit. I know exactly who she is. There is no, I could pick her out in like, and even when I get like, I have some crazy orb activity around me, and it's cool. I've loads of videos on it. There's no one that's going to be saying it's dust mites, put it that way. It's like orchestra of orbs. And I can pick her out. Now, she's not the biggest or the most beautiful. She's not, but she's fine. I'm like, I know that that's you, you know, and I do. And sometimes I say, okay, you come now in my, you know, and she does. And I'm like, that's my girl. I knew you. Imagine. I'm like, that is how connected we are. So that's really cool, you know. But the telepathy is great because we very different personalities, and it like we have very different personalities, and she's different to her brother and sister as well. She's way more like, I'm very loud and in your face, and like she's more kind of like jokey in the background and kind of like very, very nice and kind. I'm very like, I'm nice and kind as well. I would like to think so, but I'm also very real. I'm kind of like, yeah, I can, you know, but she's made me be a nicer person, which is a huge compliment to her. You know, I always was nice, and she said I am nice, but you know, we work well together. She's my psychic, you know. And if you took that away from me now, God, I don't know. Like I'm like going, crikey, you know. I think I would feel if that, she's like, I'm not going anywhere. Sorry, I'm like, and I'm like going, but if that was taken away from me, I think I would feel as much as like as losing her the first time and stuff. Now I know that I'm not going to, but there are times when I'm on my earth journey where she's to pull back a little bit. It's kind of like, we've done it so many times now. When she pulls back, I'm kind of like, okay, pay attention. You're on your own. This is good. It means you've grown or you've done something, you know. And then when she comes back, it's like, oh God, there you are. I'm so happy. And she'll pull back again, but she's always there. I can call her in, I know. But like, there are times where I definitely, you know, like, she's holding my hand through my life, I say, and there are times when I have to cross the road by myself, but it's okay. She'll be there at the other side. And I hated that at the start. It was like I used to go, oh no, I'm going back into the grief now. But now I realize, oh, actually, now I'm not afraid of it anymore. Now I realize, no, you're not. It's not. You just have to do certain things by yourself. You'd be very disappointed if you got over the other side and realized that you got so much assistance that like half of the stuff that you look, we're all getting assisted, right? I can stand here and people can say, wow, look at her, she's really great, look what she's done with her life, and isn't she cool? Knowing that me back at the ranch, I'm kind of going, you've no idea. Sometimes I'm like, Elizabeth, should I have like chocolate cake or should I have ice cream? Like, I do consult a lot. But I'd be very like determined as well, and so I'd be very disappointed if I got like handheld through everything. There are times where I'm like, there are times when it mightn't be a good moment. I don't have good or bad days anymore. I have good or bad moments in any week, and I'll be like, oh no, you have to like. I'll be like, okay, I need grace, and like then I get this like calm thing, and I'm like, oh yeah, hit me, baby. And then I'm like, yeah, you're grand. I'm ready to go. It's like I'm Irish. I'm going to say it's like having a drink. It's like having a glass of bubbles. But I don't need to do it as much. But there are times, mostly if I'm fearing for something for someone else or for someone's kid, or like, I'm like, oh God, how can I help them, or how can I do this? And like, I always get it. And you can have grace and never feel bad if you're having a good day or if you're laughing or if you're loved. No one is promoting and high-fiving more. There literally is. Firstly, they can break through to you a lot more. I'm getting the spirit chills now from everyone, and probably like have a whole gang of people go Fiona, tell them.
Yeah.
But like, they know, like they are like buzzed when you are getting through your work and your journey, and they know how much you love them. You know, people say, oh, it can't be true, they don't miss you. Well, they don't miss you because they are actually always with you. Because it's the way consciousness works is it's not like they're literally doing nothing. They're unlimited. They can be many different things and places at once. But because a thought is basically a trigger, so we're always thinking about them. So they're going to be there. But I've learned with Elizabeth that she's often there, even if I'm not thinking about her, like today. So they're actually there. I think it would freak people out a little bit if they knew how much, like, at the start, I was kind of like, okay, this is like interesting. But now I'm kind of like, I actually can say if I'm like on a private moment, or what could be anything. It doesn't sound, I'm not meaning kinky anything, but like, and I, yeah, okay, and I'll be like, yeah, I want some space or whatever. And I do think we have our own guides, irrelevant of spirit, and I can talk to my guides and my higher self without anything to do with Elizabeth or my spirit family. And I can also, I'm very connected to Archangel Michael, which I think makes me sound as if I'm saying, oh yeah, like I'm friends with Elvis, or something like that. It's not. He's actually there for anyone who would call him in. But he's brilliant. He's like, I'm one of his number one fans. I'm sure he's got a billion zillion spirits that say the same thing, but he's my guy. I really like, for whatever reason, he's solid, and there's no bullshit about him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's who I call in, and I can tell the difference. I can tell the difference when I'm telepathing with them, telepathing with Elizabeth, telepathing with my spirit guide, telepathing, and so that's cool, and like I love that. I'm not sure how I got onto that. I'm, maybe someone's saying, say that. Yeah, rambling again. You can see that I'm like a big rambler.
No, you're doing fine. I mean, I just get that you're very excited about all of this.
Yeah.
And what I was going to ask you is when you talked about that you really delved deep in that 9-month period after Elizabeth passed, and you read a lot and learned a lot. And I was curious if there were any specific practices that you found worked really well for you in building that connection with Elizabeth.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely think healthy eating and exercise is definitely a real plus to feeling very stable and balanced. And believe you me, I love my bubbles. I love my chocolate. I love like that. That's something I definitely have a physical struggle with. But the meditation is definitely key at the start. I mean, I had so many experiences that were mind blowing. And like, if you think I'm excitable now, I used to be like, I was going around, I had half a leg in spirit, and I actually pulled back. Now, I don't meditate anymore. I've built up such a connection. I can literally just call them in. But I think obviously my vibration has changed. I don't know. I don't really know why. Elizabeth's just saying I'm lazy and that I should meditate more. But you know what? The truth is, and I'm not like just standing up for myself, is I don't really need to have those super duper
Mm-hmm.
signs and experiences anymore. I actually, I don't want to have an outer body experience. I already know I'm spirit, and I've already told them when I arrive, I want champagne, I want a party, we can do all the other stuff, like, but I actually want it my way for a while, and then we can, plod on. So I don't meditate as much. But if I do feel like, ooh, your vibe isn't good, I'll read something very spiritual, and I'll read, like, I have my go-to. I love Suzanne Giesemann. I love Mark Pitts. I can't pronounce his name. The Soul Proof, like that. And all I have to do is listen to them. I love there's many people that I love. I'm very bad with names, I should say, but they're my go-tos. But meditation for everyone, and it's literally just kind of lying there. So it's actually great. I typically fall asleep now if I do it, but I still think you have the benefits of doing it. But and then reading, oh my god, like I have like constant, nothing excites me more than reading people who I resonate with and who have the knowing. I get so bloody excited. It's kind of like, oh god, I know, and it's like, yeah, you're one of my people, my kindred spirits. Or if I read posts on helping parents heal,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, I can literally kind of go, yeah, because once you have it, you want everyone to have it, but you do know that everyone's at a different level of evolution. Some people have come down and been like, no, I don't want that comfort. I'm going to go have a really harder journey. And kudos to them, and they're going to get a nice surprise, when they pass and stuff. But yeah, just keep whatever, if it's music, if it's nature, just keep your whatever. You're not here to suffer. Whatever makes you happy, and whatever makes you happy without having a big low, whatever, like you're not going to have a big low if you meditate, you're not going to have a big low if you're dancing around the kitchen. You are going to have a big low if you have the bottle of bubbles, which makes you very happy. You know what I mean? You have to be real. You're not going to have a big low if you go to the gym and have a great session, or go for a run, or go for a walk, So keep the stuff that keeps you naturally high and stuff like that. That's where it's at, but yeah, and like sometimes even having a big cry, and then you have this like sense of release and relief and stuff, can be great as well. I actually rarely cry. I'm not much of a crier anyway, and I'm not much of a laugher either, so I don't laugh or cry, never have. I'm not weird, but I just that's like I'm a smiler. I'm very smiley, but like I could go to a comedian and I might think they're funny, but like I mightn't laugh, but equally I might watch a sad movie and I mightn't cry. But sometimes I do get to cry, and I actually I love it. Sometimes I'm jealous of the people who can like really cry. It is a really good like release and stuff, So keep crying, keep laughing, everything in moderation, including moderation, to steal one of the lines.
Yeah. And I think trusting too, whatever it is that speaks to you, and not worrying about, even if there is a spiritual guru that you really resonate with and you like their teachings and stuff, but if they, advocate strongly for meditation, like laying down, and you never can get into it, but you reach that kind of state when you're walking, like that's okay. You don't have to match.
Absolutely. You find your own thing that makes, like you vibrate, and, you might decide that you don't want to, like some people might find the connections that I would have, or you would have and stuff, like could be scary to them. My gran once came to me in spirit, and I had to sleep. This was 6 years before Elizabeth passed, and I genuinely, hand in my heart, had to sleep with the light on as an adult for like 3 months. I find it so scary that nowadays Elizabeth is like, keep yourself in step, or I'm going to appear to you. They joke about it and they think it's very funny. I still don't think it's that. And I still would be like, okay, yeah, don't show yourself, because I actually I watched a lot of horror movies when I was younger, and I know it's all. And believe you me, when she appeared to me, the vibration was loving. It was actually off the charts. But I still, my human self, like was like, I found it like, oh, it was, it was. I was terrified. I had asked, for a big sign, and I definitely got it. But yeah, it's like, be careful what you wish for. And like the thing is that only take what resonates with you. I'm very much you could be eating the nicest dinner in the world, right, made by a Michelin chef and stuff, and if you don't want to finish the plate, don't finish the plate. You don't have to. You don't have to think the potatoes were amazing, the meat could be amazing. And I don't force myself to believe. I'm very open-minded and always have been, but there are some stuff that I just know, but I'm not like so dogmatic. I'll be like, I'm not going to be devil's advocate about it. I will be on other stuff. I'm not going to be preachy. I'm just going to let it go out there. If it sits with you, great. There's many people that I've met along this journey who would admire me and my connection to Elizabeth, but they would not agree with me, and they don't have to. They, I'm sure there's people that might look at me and kind of go, "Your one's off her face" and stuff. I don't really care. I genuinely, there's like, it's from everything. It's for me. It's my experience, and I'm a very loving person. I don't say that lightly. I don't say it in an egotistical or selfless way. I'm like going, "You do you, and I'll do me, and if I can do anything to help you, I'm there." But I don't need to resonate with you or vice versa. Like we're probably all friends on the other side anyway. Even if we're in contrast lives there. Happy days.
Yeah. And even just comparing yourself, I think that it can be so easy here, Earthside, to compare ourselves to other people in the bad ways and in the good ways. Like, oh, they're lucky because they had 3 years with their son and I didn't get any time, or I'm lucky because my son just passed away unexpectedly one night from one day to the next and I didn't have to, watch him
Oh, there's
progressively decline. And when we get into those comparison games, or, oh, that person's so lucky because they get dream visitations and I
oh
only
yeah,
find coins or whatever,
yeah.
but just
The
thinking
only
about,
I
yeah,
agree with
what
you.
you needed for your own journey. And we're all here on our own journey, and you're not missing out. There's a reason why the things did happen or don't happen or continue to happen the way that they do. And it's all meant exactly for you.
Exactly. It's your experience. There's
Mm-hmm.
no, I don't compare myself to anyone. I don't think I'm bigger or better than anyone. In fact, I already know that I'm not, because that's the whole thing. We're on different levels. You can't compare someone who is an infant to someone who's a 90-year-old. You
Mm-hmm.
just, it's just a different thing, and it's just a different stage. But the only person that I would compare myself to is me as a child, me as a teenager. I kind of compare myself, me last anniversary, me last birthday. I do compare that just to keep myself in check. But even that is just more to kind of like check in. But yeah, there's like, I have like the amount of people that I have don't consider that I have lost a child because Elizabeth was stillborn full term and stuff. And even me saying stillborn full term is no different to someone spirit wise who's had an early miscarriage, because it's still the same soul, still the same connection that was coming in. They're not here now. Now, of course, there'll be people that will say, yeah, there are different, like there, every experience, no experience is unique. It's all different. There's no point in even if the exact same circumstances, your child died in a car crash, my child died in a crash at the same age, still not the same experience, because we're, it's not supposed to be, because you're having your unique experience. Yeah, there's like, we all do it. It's the human way of going, oh my god. Like sometimes I read a story on like a parent losing a child and I go, oh my god, and then I have to go, hey, wait a minute, oh yeah, I lost a child too, and that's me,
Mm-hmm.
what to do with myself. But yeah, don't ever get hung up on like, and you don't, luckily, I'm just talking in general. I am comparing. I don't if let anyone belittle or talk your grief or your sign or your experience. Your role here is many things, but it's not to be the it's like to be the like to change anyone else's opinion of their own experience, or like, or to make out that your experience is more valid or you're more valid. Like soul wise, like we are all from the same source, and we're all just having a different experience, but like we are all so interconnected, and that's hard to understand. And I don't go on about that too much, because I don't find it as relevant for me in my journey. But for some people, the fact that we are could be life changing. They might treat people with love and respect more. For me, it doesn't matter if we are or if we aren't. I'd treat people the same anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not. But like, yeah, try and connect with yourself. Yeah, that's one thing that I will say is, I have been asked, how do you connect so well and stuff, and I'm just very well connected to myself as well, my soul self. And I felt like that. I always like respected my intuition, my path and stuff like that. And I think once you're connected to your own soul, your heart, your own soul, it's much easier then to link into someone else's soul and stuff. And we do this all the time. You could be at work and you know that a coworker, you can just see them and be like, oh, they've had a bad day or a bad night or something's going on. Like we all have telepathy. I know I get texts from people, like, and I've literally thought of them like a second. That's telepathy as well.
Mm-hmm.
They've been thinking about me. I've been thinking about them. Like this is not. It's like people think is, oh my god, what do you hear? And it's like, just it's like we're constantly talking to ourselves or hearing things in our mind. It's like, at the end of the day, does it really matter if it's Elizabeth, if it's Archangel Michael, or if it's myself? Who cares? Whatever gets you through. I just happen to know that it isn't. But even if it all ended up, you know, that like I got to the end and I was had totally been a master of delusion, I'd be like, hats off to myself. You made your journey a lot easier. But I just know that it isn't. We're just not that big. We're just a small little kind of like cog in the whole universe. We think we're so important, and like, and we are, but we're also just like a grain of sand on the beach, a droplet in the ocean and stuff, and it's very important. But there's so much bigger. My biggest thing is that in a world so vast with so many things that science can't explain, and there's many scientists that do believe this, by the way, but like how you could even think, that there couldn't be something else. I'm kind of like, wow, that's like, I hats off. That's a master of like delusion to me, and they think I'm deluded, so who cares? If whatever gets you through, it's whatever. Life is hard. That's the only thing that's definitely true. It'll change, and life is hard. You'll have ups and downs, whatever gets you through,
Mm-hmm.
and whatever you're going through is what, is where you are. Whatever path you're on is what you are. And the best is to just try and make peace with, with every day. You have to make the decision again. Yeah, here I am. This is where my life is today. And like, make peace and put your best foot forward. And sometimes, you might be able to get out of bed, and sometimes you might be hosting a dinner party.
Mm-hmm.
Every part is valid. Every part is part of your experience and stuff. But it is a gentler experience if you do go within and find that connection to spirit. It's so much gentler. It's, I consider sometimes I took a hard life and took the easy way out.
And Fiona, with that in mind, before I let you go, because I know it's already been an
Okay.
hour, but I was going to ask you if you would mind sharing for any parents who are interested in maybe doing their own version of what your sign game was with Elizabeth and how that kind of worked out for you.
Oh yeah, this was like, honestly. So I would pick a sign of the week. I'm just going to say giraffe because that would come, whatever came to my head. And then I would have the whole week. And it's not for me to go looking for a giraffe. It was literally, okay, it's a giraffe. And knowing that it will come. And oh my gosh, when you just let it come, and you will know when it's a sign, because there's a difference between getting a sign, because the energy of the sign is like, and you'll be like, oh my God, I can't believe, like, I have had the most obscured, like, one time I said, okay, I want a sheep eating a chocolate biscuit, right? Like that, like so obscure, right? And I got a sheep eating a chocolate biscuit, right? Now, I didn't realize at the time, I do now, that it was actually Elizabeth putting in something random that she knew was going to happen. But that's even cool in and of itself. So often your signs are being like, how did they maneuver that? It's actually that they're not limited by time. They can pick whatever, so you just let your mind pick it, because then they'll surprise you the most. It's, you kind of go, okay, what's the sign of the week? It'll come to you. It could be rhubarb. So I used to have like, and like literally, John and my daughter, everyone knew about my sign of the week. I still have friends that ask me about sign of the week, and I'm like, I don't play that game anymore. And like that's like, I really don't. But God, that was the best. I think that was one of my best fun ways. And like Elizabeth was like in my head, like a young child. I know that she's a big spirit, advanced spirit. There's no age in spirit anyway. But I used to love the idea of playing a game with her, and
Mm-hmm.
it like, and the thing is that like, you pick it and you just let it go. Yeah, there
Mm-hmm.
were times when I was at day 4 and I didn't get my sign. I was like, oh geez, you're actually, you're not, or I must be distracted this week. And then it would come up and I'd be like, nah, you just gave me a you just made it easy for me, but thank you. But there are times where, gosh, one time I was like, I had oh God, I can't even think. It's a flatfish. I'll just say a flounder fish. It's not a flounder fish. And it was so obscure. And then I was literally watching television. I was like, John, I need to change the channel. I literally went on to nature program, and a flounder kid. And he was like, oh, what the hell just happened? And I was like, I swear to God, we were in the middle of watching a film. It was so obscure. And he was like, is your sign a flounder? I was like, yeah. He was like, that is weird. As in like, she's taking over, she's taking control and stuff. And they draw, it's just drawing your consciousness. And then when you
Yeah.
realize, God, they're really drawing your consciousness. And then you'll start understanding what the telepathic messages are, because they have the same kind of energy. It's kind of like, look to the left, or and you're like, okay, the sign's there. Oh my God, you told me to do that. It's
Mm-hmm.
really good. That's the best thing. But you have to be in the playful and vibe that you want to do that. But yeah, the sign game, it's the best thing ever.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think too, you have to let go. Like, you
Mm.
can't be so fixated on trying to explain or understand. And it amazes me the people who will tell me about signs that they receive. They'll tell me in the context of it being a sign. And then the final statement that they make at the end of the story is, but who knows? It probably was just a coincidence. Like, no, that's killing it.
Oh
That's
gosh.
taking away. And
No.
it's, to me, that's a fear. It's okay
And
to let
all,
yourself believe and just
yeah,
lean into it and know, like I get angel signs in the form of triple digits on license plates.
love
It
it.
sounds
Yeah.
ridiculous, right? Like,
It
I know
doesn't.
that sounds, but I'm
Doesn't.
not. But I also can't deny that I am not spending all day scanning license plates. So when I happen to look 3 cars to the left and there's one with a triple digit, I know that that was a sign. That's not
Absolutely.
because I was searching everywhere for it. And when it's a specific sign that the message correlates to a thought that I was having right in that moment, I know that's not a coincidence.
It's
So,
never.
it's
It
right,
never. And I call
right.
people up this all the time. They said the most amazing story, and they'd be like, "What do you think at the end?" And I'm always like, you already know. And they always come back and go, "Yeah, I do know." And the thing sometimes is like, I often kept my signs to myself unless they were the really big ones, because it's for me. It doesn't mean anything to anyone else, really.
Right.
Like, I could tell you that there's a kangaroo out playing the violin now, and like, and if there was, it would be an amazing experience. But to you, it's kind of like, really, because it's
Mm-hmm.
not for you. So yeah, like, and just don't try and convince anyone.
Mm-mm.
Just
Yeah.
believe in yourself, and believe the best is happening, and there are no coincidences. There never were, there never are. And don't even try to understand it, because
Yeah.
you're never going to be able to, ever, ever, ever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Well, Fiona, thank you so.
Thank you. Oh, good. Oh, I'm so happy. Thanks so much for having me, Whitney. I really appreciate it. And Orion, because I'm sure he's hooked us up, and Elizabeth as well.